On today's episode of the CLS Experience, we have a very special treat. He's won all of bodybuilding's major titles, including Mr. Olympia, Mr. Universe, Mr. World, and Mr. America. No big deal. He is the leading expert on bodybuilding and active aging. He is a world-renowned performance coach, and he's been named one of the top 10 legends of bodybuilding, in addition to being awarded the best physique of all time by Muscle Fitness magazine. He's been inducted into the Bodybuilding Hall of Fame, and he's only one of 3 humans to ever defeat Arnold Schwarzenegger in the sport. He's just a juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific human being. Please welcome the dynamic, physical specimen, exciting, optimistic, and extraordinary, iconic Frank Zane. How you doing, Frank?
I'm fine, thank you, Craig.
Did I do good by you with the intro?
It was perfect, thank you.
Cool. I'm excited to chat here today. Like I was saying before we hit record, I'm such a fan, and your story is awesome. And one of the things I really like about you is how you mix in a lot of the mindset and the spirituality stuff. The audience loves to get a little bit of background. What I would suggest, in case you guys aren't familiar with Frank, do a background check, read his books, check out his social media, his website. What I think is most valuable today is we just have an unbelievable conversation. Before we jump in, we're going to get a little weird. You ready for me, Frank?
Yes.
Frank, what is your superpower?
I'm able to remember my dreams.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I've interviewed some of the world's greats, and I never heard an answer like that before. That's pretty challenging, no?
Well, I interpret them too to mean certain things.
So you think it's like a message?
There's always a message. Basically, it's impossible to be aware of everything in your life that's happening at all times, but your unconscious mind is largely aware of a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so by tuning into your dreams, you get a lot of hidden messages that you normally wouldn't know.
That's really cool, real powerful stuff. And a lot of the audience knows, because I'm big on it, the mind's made up of both the subconscious and the conscious. Most people operating out of the subconscious, not even realizing that they've been programmed to be probably a little bit negative since they're about 7 years old. But I know you're big on that stuff, and you have the ability to become aware and actually operate from your consciousness. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I try to do that.
Yeah, I love it. When you wake up every day these days, what are some non-negotiables for you?
No, I just basically ask myself, how do I feel? As far as dreams go, I focus on the feeling of it. What's the feeling? Because actually, dreams have been defined as a picture of a feeling.
Yeah, that's pretty deep stuff.
Well, yes, it's all deep, basically, because it's not obvious.
Yeah.
So when you start looking at these things, you learn a little bit more about yourself and your relations in the world.
Bang. Frank's got nuggets today. This is awesome. I'm already smiling ear to ear. This is great stuff. Pivoting for a second, one of the things that I know you're really big on, especially when you were competing and so forth, is the power of visualization. I run marathons now, and something that I've incorporated as of late is really visualizing like the course and finishing the race, so to speak. How important was, or it still is, visualization to you?
It's always been important. I basically am able to see things, what I would like to happen, and basically focus on them. And by doing this, I think you make it more powerful for it to occur in reality.
Yeah, because also, like, once you kind of visualize it and feel it, the brain doesn't really know the difference if it happened yet or it's not. So when you actually do go to do it, it's almost like you've done it before, right?
Yes, you've done visual rehearsal.
Yeah.
And so it makes it more likely to happen.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is to get things to happen the way you want them to happen. And by visualizing that positive outcome, you can help bring it about.
Yeah, that's it. I love that. When it comes to working out, obviously nobody better to ask in the world than you this. How, for you nowadays, obviously the physicality, getting a pump, all great things, but how important is a workout for you just for the mental component?
It's always been important. I basically train 3 or 4 times a week, not as much as I did when I was much younger, I recently turned 80. And so what I do is basically related to how fast I can recover from it.
Yeah. And I just
So I
want
have a fully equipped gym that I have access to, and a lot of machines and, you know, things that make my training go very, very well. And I rely on that. Plus I see clients from time to time, and basically I want to show them how to train with weights, and that's what I do.
so you train them?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I don't do ongoing physical training with people, but I do work with people who come here for either 1, 2, or 3 day seminars.
I love it. And
And of course,
also,
I've written books, and I have these books. One of them is
there he
the
is.
Zane Bodybuilding Manual. It's a massive book, 436 pages. It's pretty much everything I know about bodybuilding. This is the ultimate textbook for bodybuilding, I think. And then there's a workbook, which is 91 Day Wonder Body. It's 3 months of exactly what to do every day, 91 days, 3 months. And there's no guesswork. It'll tell you exactly what to do, shows all the exercises, how to do them, descriptions, and what to expect.
I love
Complete
it.
guide.
And for the audience, like go grab those immediately, especially if you're into working out and fitness and so forth. But one thing that you said was 8 years old, and I just want to correct you. You're 80 years young.
Whichever way you'd like to look at it.
Yeah.
The calendar says 80, and so, you know, I acknowledge that.
You feeling good?
I feel real good, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't try to act like, you know, I'm 30, but, you know, I act like an elderly person. I get enough rest. I work out sensibly. I stretch between sets when I'm working out. I eat very well. My diet has always been really good. And I get enough sleep and rest, and I meditate on a regular basis.
I know you do. And you've always been really big on nutrition.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Like I always worked out my whole life, not professional or anything like that. But then I got into marathons a couple years back, and I have a bit of addictive personality. I love them because I believe it's a metaphor for life. But I also started working on my nutrition when I got into marathons, and it just makes all the difference in the world. And I've heard the saying before, like you can't out train a bad diet, right?
Oh, you need to do that.
Yeah.
You know, you can make progress not doing it, but it'll be much better if you follow everything. One thing is nutrition. The other thing is, you know, your exercise, your workouts, your weight training, your aerobics, your stretching and posing, especially if you're interested in taking photos or in physique competition, your attitude, what you think about, what you say, what you do, your recuperation, you know, by getting enough sleep, and then also learning how to invoke the relaxation response during the day through techniques like meditation and visualization.
Yeah.
So all these things matter. If you do them, you'll be much more successful.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm big on meditating and practicing awareness and being aware of my thoughts and so forth. But something, if I'm being totally honest, that I found challenging over the years was to really quiet the noise. But I know you're really big on that and really like good at it. Is there any tips that you can give to really quiet that down to make meditation successful?
I use a mantra, which is basically a statement of a positive statement that I repeat over and over again. And I use these beads. I wear this on my wrist, and every time I say it, I advance one bead. And the fact that I'm doing this helps me hook up what I'm saying and what I'm doing with something physical. In other words, I don't forget I'm doing it. A lot of times you could be trying to meditate and your mind wanders, and then you forget you're doing it, and you're miles away from what you started doing. And that's not the idea. The idea is to keep doing the same thing, to focus on it. And by using something like meditation beads, also called as mala, M-A-L-A, you can help direct your attention to stay in the present time.
What an awesome strategy. And I've interviewed some of the world's greats specifically in like that field. And I never heard anybody say that, but you just made it really tangible. And that's definitely something I'm going to apply. Thank you for that.
It's not my original idea. It's a tradition in meditation techniques to do things like this.
Yeah.
I also have a large, I wear this all the time. It's 108 beads.
Nice.
I sometimes use this one, but no, most of the time I use the smaller one. But the thing is to do it something physical, to stay with it. You know, don't lose track of it, to stay with it, because the power of sustained attention is really great. I mean, it's evident in your workouts. you have to pay attention to what you're doing and keep doing it. You can't let your mind wander and do other things, or else you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah. So true. Focus.
Yes. Focus is important.
Yeah. I love that. What do you weigh these days? Like maybe 175-ish?
Somewhere around there. I don't weigh myself, but you know, I basically stay the same. My goal in life is to stay the same now. It's not to improve. You know, I've been all through that. I reached a level, and now I just want to hang on to most of what I still can.
Yeah.
So, you know, I practice good health. I eat right. I get enough rest, and I stay positive. Yeah, I avoid stress. I don't talk negative. So I do everything I can to stay in a good place.
Love it. Maintain that higher frequency, if you will.
Yes, exactly.
Frank, when you were competing, what weight were you around then? Like a $190, somewhere around there?
About 190.
Yeah.
High 180s, low 190s was my best weight. Not over 200. And if I got much bigger than that, I got a little bit too big around the waist and lost some of my definition. So I found that my best body weight ever was when I won the Olympia in 1979. I was 191. I think that was my best condition ever.
How tall are you?
5'9".
Nice.
I might be less than that now, but that's what I was.
Understood. So as I said in the introduction, you won the best physique in the world. Like, what does that even mean?
I think it was an award a Muscle and Fitness gave out. The editors decided that. I don't know if it was ever. I think there were some surveys too that I placed really high. I mean, Steve Reeves was way up there, usually tied with me or a little bit ahead of me or a little bit below me. But basically, he was always my physical idol to look like Steve Reeves, you know, the guy in the Hercules movies. He had an ideal physique. He looked incredible.
Yeah. I grew up being a big fan of yours as well as Arnold. I was really into the lifting, but I really always was fascinated by the mental component of the stuff. And I remember I had this DVD. It wasn't the very popular one that Arnold did with the bodybuilding. It was the other one, like his comeback. I think you were injured, but you decided to compete anyway.
All right, that was the 1980 Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, I used to watch that over and over again, that DVD. I don't know why, I just loved it.
It was pretty good quality, a lot of it. I know that the posing was real good quality.
Yeah, really good quality. So you were injured going into that?
I had a bad accident 8 weeks before. I fell into a swimming pool and hit the ledge that sticks out on the side of the pool behind my testicles and smashed my urethra.
Oof.
It was pretty serious. And actually, in hindsight, it might have been better not to compete that year and go in the following year. But instead, you know, I figured, well, I already have my plane ticket. That was my plan. I'm going to go through with it. So, you know, I did the best I could. I did lose about 10 pounds of muscle, but I was very muscular, very, very defined.
Shredded.
You know, the thing is, I wasn't as good as I was in 1979 from a standpoint of size. I was bigger in 1979, and judges always compare you not only to anybody else, but also to your best. And so they compared me tonight, and you know, best I could do in that 1983 was, I think, was third place I got.
You look like an action figure. Every single definition, all of it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't collect those, so I guess
Yeah.
I could pass for that.
You also have another book that you didn't mention, The Mind-Body Connection. Is that right?
There is one. I had it right here. Oh, here it is.
Let the audience see that thing.
It's actually a booklet, The Mind-Body Connection.
There he is.
It's got a lot of material, and you know, I do a lot of writing, and I publish these things. The Mind-Body Connection is one of them, and of course, the 91-day Wonder Body Workbook is a great one to have to guide you through your workouts. It basically is meant to give you an education in how to do bodybuilding. Then, of course, the reference manual, the bodybuilding manual, which has everything in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's chronological. It goes through. It takes through the years of when I started all the way through current time.
Yeah. I love it. I was doing some homework because number one, I'm a fan, and number two, I want to show this conversation the respect it deserves. And I heard you talking about like the golden era of bodybuilding. What time frame was that you're referring to, the golden era?
mainly the 1970s. You know, it was pretty much the 70s. I think it all started with Larry Scott, you know, in 1965 when he won Mr. Olympia for 2 years, and then Sergio Oliva. These guys were really good. And then after that, I think it was Arnold came into the picture, Franco Colombo very briefly, and then me to close out the 70s. And I competed right up until 1983. I wanted to win Olympia the fourth time, but I saw it wasn't happening. And at age 41, I decided that that's going to be it for me.
Yeah, that was such a cool time. Bodybuilding was becoming mainstream, right? And I feel like even like I wasn't alive yet. I was born in the 80s, but I was such a fan that obviously I would watch the tapes and so forth. At that point, like it made it cool to like start being muscular, like even in the movies and stuff like that, right?
Might say we stood on the shoulders of giants because the era that came about before us, like Steve Reeves, Bill Pearl, Larry Scott, Sergio Oliva, all these guys were great. We looked up to them. They were our idols, you know, and that was our role model. So we took after them. We did the best we could and tried to emulate it in our training.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love all of this. Is it true that one time you actually bulked up all the way to 220?
In 1965, I did gain up to 220, but I was fat. You know, I didn't look good. I came back down to 190 and stayed at that weight.
Got it. Also, I heard you say, which I found very interesting, when you was really into the training, competing, and so forth, you didn't really care what you saw in the mirror, but you cared what you would see in photographs. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I took a lot of photographs. My wife's a very good photographer, and we would take photos about every 2 weeks. We'd be taking photos because, see, that's what you really look like. You don't, what you see in the mirror is you backwards, and it's subjective too. You're looking at your image and you're imagining things, whereas with a photograph, it's like looking at somebody else. So you're learning to see yourself the way other people see you, and that's the most important thing because, you know, you have to know what you look like when you're on stage.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. I love your mentality. It's just different and you're so unique. And another thing I heard you discussing, which I thought was pretty cool because most people would probably say the opposite, but you do better alone. And I heard you say, and made me laugh, maybe smile, you don't need anyone around to hold you back, so to speak. Is that right?
I've always been that way. I'm a solo act.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in school, I was that way. I always did. I learned not to depend upon anybody. I'm still sort of like that too. And especially my training, I've always been that way. Training partner is good, but you know, to find a training partner that can actually lift you up is very difficult. You usually find somebody that's not on your level, and that just slows you down. If you can find somebody on your level or above your level, that's the ideal thing.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. You always, it's like, you never want to be the smartest in the room, they say, because you want to be able to constantly growing and stretching yourself. So
Yes.
to have someone at least on your level or even a little bit further ahead, then that's contagious.
See, that's one reason why people come to California, Southern California, because this is where, you know, when I came here, this is where the gyms were. This is where all the top bodybuilders were. Arnold had just moved out here. Dave Draper was here. Larry Scott was here. And so I was in the best possible place for bodybuilding.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Do you have a relationship with Arnold?
Yes, so, you know, we're friends. I haven't really seen him in quite a few, about 5 or 6 years now. I used to go back to his contest, Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio, but I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're friends.
Nice. When you were doing cardio, in addition to the training and so forth, you used to run?
I have done some running. Basically, I still do a little bit of that. I walk every day, just about every day with my dog. We walk relatively fast, up to 2 miles a day.
That's good. Just to get some body movement, some steps in, get the body moving.
Yes.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it when I was listening to you. You were talking about all the, for anyone that's not so familiar with like competing bodybuilding, like posing is a main thing in regards to how you win and how you compete and so forth. And I heard you talking that posing can actually make you really, really sore, right?
Well, it's a workout.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, when they start posing, you can't believe how sore they get. It's because they never do it. And so, you know, practicing posing, it's something you absolutely have to do before your competition. Most people wait until the week before, at the most 2 weeks before, and do it. And that's the minimum time. But if you do it right along, it's stretch after each set and do a little bit of posing too, maybe at the end of your workout, and you stay in shape, because it's like isometric exercise posing. You strike a pose and you tense all your muscles, but you do it so that you feel relaxed doing it. It's sort of a paradox. I have a rhyme that goes with that, is muscles tensed, relaxed face, feeling ease, crowd pleasing, confidence. That was always my motto when I posed. And it's just about practicing it a lot. And if the best thing you could do is take photos. Like when Joe Weider was alive, we used to take photos before a competition. It would be a good idea to take photos for the magazine several times before you're going to compete, because you get in better shape doing that. Plus you get a lot of constructive criticism from Weider. He was very good at that. He had a good eye for it. So I stuck with it and did that, and so did the other guys too.
I'm familiar with Joe Weider because I'm a fan of all this stuff. Maybe some of the audience is not. He helped put bodybuilding on the map in terms of being mainstream. Is that right?
Yes. Well, he had the magazines. He gave everybody publicity. And if it wasn't for him, bodybuilding wouldn't have gotten as much publicity, because there's really nobody around on his level that was doing it to the extent. Plus, he was worldwide. The magazines went all over the world. Between him and his brother Ben, magazines were everywhere. Yeah. So we developed a worldwide reputation.
Yeah. Do you follow closely, like, who's competing these days in terms of bodybuilding?
Not too much. I see it on Instagram and Facebook, but I don't go to shows. I'm interested in it, and I'm willing to give advice to anybody who asks me about it. And I know some of them, like Michael Hearn is a friend of mine. I think he has tremendous potential.
Yeah.
If he ever decides to go in the Olympia, with a little fine tuning, I think he could win it all.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorites in the last, 15, 20 years since after you retired?
Well, let's see, after I retired. Well, who was around after I retired? Robbie Robinson has always been high on my list. Samir Banu was good for a couple of years, especially those years that he won.
Ron Coleman.
Ronnie Coleman was great. I mean, he's huge.
Huge.
Lee Haney, Ronnie Coleman, they all had their time. I mean, Haney won it 8 times, won the Olympia 8 times.
Yeah.
Coleman won it a lot of times too.
Who was the guy that was so dominant, like maybe the last 10 years up until recently? Not Flex Wheeler, I don't think.
No.
Somebody else.
Probably Ronnie Coleman.
It was someone after him, I think. I don't know. Have to look it up.
There's a bunch of guys there. Flex Wheeler for a while. Sean Ray's been up there. Who are some of the other guys? I can't think of the names right now, but
Same.
if you look at Facebook, Instagram, you'll see them all.
Yeah.
They'll make appearances.
Yeah. I know you're really big on amino acids.
Yes, I've taken amino acids in free form for many years. I think it's probably the most important nutritional supplement, because you get something that is beyond protein. When your body digests protein, the final form before it's absorbed in your bloodstream is amino acids in free form. But if you take them already in that form, in capsule form or in the powder, it goes right into your system. So it's a tremendous energy-saving device, and it's pure nutrition, pure goodness for your body.
Pure goodness. I love that. I drink amino acids all day, but if I'm being honest, yes, I work out and all that stuff, but it helps me drink a lot of water, because I put the powder in the water, and sometimes water isn't so exciting and it has a little bit better taste, but I pound it all day long.
You could take them in capsule form.
Yeah.
Like the company I use, Monteith, has an excellent line of amino acids. I've been using that form for many, many years, since the 1980s.
Mm-hmm. You don't have your own supplement line?
I don't. I dabbled with protein powders and stuff, but I don't bother with it, because I figure there are good companies out there that already have that under control.
Yeah.
I don't want to compete with them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, aside from aminos, I know that you like liver extract. What exactly is that?
Well, there's a company, Enzymatic Therapy, that makes a form. It's called energizing iron, they call it, but it's actually liquid liver extract. It's, you know, if you, we used to have desiccated liver tablets, which were a 4-to-1 concentration of liver, but liver extract is a 20-to-1 concentration of liver. So it's like eating a lot of liver, but you don't have to. I take like 4 of those a day. It's like eating a good pound of cat's liver.
Yeah. This is great, being stuff, and why this is such a cool conversation for the audience. Like, this is really a masterclass on fitness and nutrition from one of the all-time greats. And even if you're not like a bodybuilder or anything like that, like, this is valuable for anybody. A big question that a lot of people ask, and I'd love to hear what you think about this, is how important is sleep and how much is actually necessary, Frank?
Well, you got to get enough sleep. I mean, you know, if you work out hard, you should have no problem getting 7.5 to 8 hours sleep a night. And I always endeavor to do that. I'm in bed by usually 10:30, and I'm up usually around before 6. So I get enough sleep. And then I do a deep relaxation meditation during the day. So I'm, you know, the whole idea is to stay calm during the day and a good rest that night.
Is it true that everybody's different in regards to how much they need, or is this more like just the general philosophy? Everybody should get 7 to 8 hours.
I think it's a good idea for everybody to get that.
Yeah, fair enough. Frank, are you a coffee drinker?
I have a cup of coffee in the morning when I wake up,
Same.
usually with breakfast or before breakfast, but I don't drink coffee all day long.
Just 1 in the morning, and you're good for the day.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Same. Yeah. Getting into some other stuff right now. One of the things that I love about you and why I gravitated towards you back in the day is you're so big on staying positive and especially not hanging around negative people. People always ask me, because obviously I'm in this space now and I'm helping a lot of people. Like, I tell them, like, I know that there's people that have been in your life for quite some time, but it doesn't give them a hall pass. Like, you can love somebody and yet not tolerate them. How important is that for you to absolutely be intentional with not being around negative people?
Well, I think, you know, you attract that. If you're negative yourself, you're going to attract negative people. I just don't attract it because I'm not negative.
Yeah.
What is negative anyway? Actually, to be negative, you have to start being positive and then say no to it. It's negation of something positive. So everything is positive to start with. And if you negate it, then it's negative.
That's awesome. What an awesome response. So
So it
true.
really doesn't exist on its own.
Yeah.
We make it exist.
I love how deep of a thinker you are. And I want to acknowledge you for that. Switching gears for a second. How long have you been married for? About 55 years?
That's exactly right. 55 years.
Okay. What's the secret?
Well, you know, you have to be, I'm in love and always have been with my wife. And we get along and we do things together. And, you know, she's very intelligent. She's a tremendous artist. That's one of the things that attracted me to her. Her painting and drawing is exceptional. She has a master's degree in painting and drawing and a master's degree in clinical psychology too.
Psychology is awesome. And I know you're really fascinated with that stuff.
Yeah, I have a master's degree in experimental psychology.
What does
I
that
went to
mean?
school for that. Well, you know, I went to school to get a certain amount of credits in psychology and experiments.
That's
I know
cool.
how to conduct experiments.
Very cool. Yeah. Psychology is so big. I agree with that.
I know all the theories and I've studied all that. You know, I went to California State University, Los Angeles, and then in San Bernardino. It's where I got my degree.
Do you read a lot?
Quite a bit. I could probably read more, you know, but I do read.
What are you reading now? Anything good?
Some things I like reading the Buddhist sutras. The sutras are actually seminars and speeches given by the Buddha. And I have a Kindle at that. All these are available, like the Lankavatara Sutra, the Lotus Sutra. They're some of the stuff is quite phenomenal, and it's very mind expanding.
Oof.
So I like reading things like this, and then works by certain authors like uh, uh, Allen Ginsberg. Some of his poetry I really like. Uh, what's the other guy's name? I can't think of it right now.
What is the phrase you just used? Mind expanding?
Mind expanding, yes.
I love that. You should always be giving the imagination some exercise, right?
Yeah, yeah. The mind is as big as you want it to be, and so don't constrict your mind, your belief system. Read things that make you think and expand your mind.
I agree.
See all points of view.
I agree.
Read literature, scientific works. I read all that stuff. Oh, Jack Kerouac is another author I really like. His book Dharma Bums is very, very inspirational. On the road. I mean, he's just a good writer.
Yeah. Did you say in the beginning conversations you're a simple guy?
I guess.
But like it's so like there's so much alignment and synergy here. Like you don't love to be around a lot of people. Believe it or not, I'm an introvert. People get surprised by that. But you love a good book, you love some literature, love to meditate, to be positive. Like these sound like simple things, but it results in stress-free, right?
Yeah, that's right. Is to don't create stress in your life.
Yeah.
Because all stress is self-created. It's you have environments and situations you come across. It's how you take them. Look about it and say to yourself, how can I use this in a positive way to help me grow? That's the reframing question. Reframing means to put all your experience into a positive frame of reference.
It's awesome. Two people, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna say 2 people can literally like go to the same place on vacation at the same time, but someone could reframe it and they could have 2 completely different perspectives or experiences, right?
Yes, of course. It's what you bring to the situation, what your training has been, who you've been around, how you've grown up, what you've learned. You have to learn to do this and you have to apply it.
Yeah. You're such a stud. When did you get so into this like mindset and spirituality stuff? You like from when you were younger or because you were doing the bodybuilding?
Sort of all started at the same time at age 14. I did a lot of things that I'm still doing. I discovered archery. I still do archery. Discovered meditation. I learned to play harmonica.
You still play?
Yeah, I still do that. Also, I make bamboo flutes out of bamboo flutes.
Cool.
I play those. So, I play a little guitar. Basically, I play rhythm guitar. I'm not a professional musician, but I fool around with it. I find it relaxing.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Of course, I got to ask you this. What's your favorite workout?
I don't have any favorites. I like doing all of them. My main thing is to get a good pump on everything I do. And so I'm not partial to anything. I don't want to do things that I might get hurt doing. Like, for example, I don't do heavy squats anymore.
Same.
I actually only hardly even squat. I do leg extension, leg curl, leg press mainly.
Same.
And I have a device called the Leg Blaster, which enables me to do squats in an erect position, and keep the stress on my thighs where it belongs.
As opposed to the knees?
Yeah.
The Leg Blaster. That's awesome.
Right. We don't market it anymore, but we did for about 20 years. We sold a lot of them. And I have one in my gym that I use all the time. That's how I do all my squatting workouts is with the Leg Blaster.
And you have your own gym?
Yeah.
So cool.
600 square foot facility located near where I live. And it's private. I train there, and I have clients. I train them there too.
Do you listen to music when you work out?
No, I don't need to.
Got it.
I mean, I might, but I don't.
Got it. When you were competing, what was your favorite pose?
When I was competing, what?
What was your favorite pose?
I tried to look all good in all the poses, but I wasn't particularly thick from the side. So I did a lot of straight on front, straight on back shots, and those were my best poses. like overhead poses with my arms overhead,
Yeah.
front double biceps, the same from the back, lat spread from the front and from the back.
Yeah.
And so I always concentrated on everything, having complete development, like my legs. I'd always remember to tense my legs, my thighs when I posed. So I did enough of it that I got pretty good. We got pretty good at it.
Yeah. Such a legend. I love it. We all know that life doesn't go up in a straight line. There's always going to be inevitable challenges and adversity and so forth. One thing that you're really big on in a really important trait is perseverance. Is that right, Frank?
Yeah, you got to stick to things. Don't give up. Just keep going. Find what it is you like and keep doing it.
Yeah. Straight up.
The results are not achieved overnight. I think on the average, it takes about 20 years to really do something to get to be an expert at it. With bodybuilding, it's like that. With anything, it's like that. You just got to keep doing it. And then you learn more and more about it. You learn all the little things. You learn shortcuts, the most efficient way to perform.
Yeah.
And it's like that with everything. The bodybuilding is really a good lesson for life. If you can be good in that, you can be good in just about anything, I think.
I love the analogy. And also there's so much discipline involved with bodybuilding.
Correct. But there isn't anything that you want to be good at. You have to enjoy it and you have to stick with it.
Simple and effective. Another thing I heard you say that was really cool was if you hold a thought for 20 seconds, it becomes factual. Something along the lines of that, right?
Well, it becomes more real. It gains power. So basically it's about thinking the right thoughts and be able to hold those thoughts for prolonged periods of times, and then saying the right things. And then that leads to doing the right thing, adopting the correct behavior. Think the right thoughts, say the right things, do the right behaviors.
Yeah.
Simple as that. That's the cycle of action. Think, say, do.
Yeah, that's it. And also to be very conscious about the words that you speak to yourself, right?
Yeah, another law I try to follow is if I say something, I do it. Don't bullshit. That doesn't work. If you say something, it means you have to do it, or you're in the process of doing it.
And the good thing about that, besides the obvious, is when you say you're going to do something and you follow through, you begin to build self-trust, right? And that essentially leads to confidence.
Build personal power.
Oof. Frank's got nuggets today. That's right. And also,
well, that's not my own personal, there's some good reading too. I think it's a good idea to read things. And there's some books I recommend to people. One of them is by Carlos Castaneda called Tales of Power. Also, another of his books called Journey to Ixtlan. Those two books I highly recommend. Castaneda was an anthropologist, went to UCLA and then traveled to northern Mexico and met a medicine man, Don Juan. And it's about what he learned hanging out with Don Juan and his adventures. Another one is a book called In Search of the Miraculous by P.D. Ouspensky. Great book. Ouspensky was a Russian philosopher around 1950s, and he was a student of George Gurdjieff. Gurdjieff was quite a character. He wasn't so literate, but basically he was somebody people wrote books about. He had a large following, and he was more recent times too, up until the 1950s in New York City they were. So like a modern philosopher.
I absolutely love it. And the only negative that I got going on is we don't have 10 hours to chat. This is straight up great stuff. And I love how you think straight up. And one of the things I was really excited to ask you about today, because it's something I'm really big into now, and I know you are as well, is the law of attraction. Obviously the spirituality we've been talking about a lot throughout the conversation. But something that's like very sexy these days is the law of attraction and manifestation and energy and stuff like that. It also ties into visualization and so forth. But for the audience that's listening, like that sounds great, but like, how do I utilize the law of attraction and really like help the energy work for me with spirituality stuff? How would you explain that?
I think the main thing, first of all, is learn how to empty your mind. Learn how to shut your mind down from thinking so you can just maintain not thinking. you know. And the other thing is not thinking leads to not doing. So that's sort of a paradox. You tell people, well, you should practice not doing. It means not doing anything. Everybody's always talking about doing this, doing that. I'm talking about not doing anything for periods of time. That's what meditation is. You shut down the thinking process. You start by focusing on a mantra, or your breathing. Then after a while, all your thoughts disappear and you're just left with the vast open space. And then if you want at that point to visualize, you can, and it's very powerful. If you have something you're focused on, you can see it in your mind's eye, and basically it'll start coming true for you.
Yeah.
I remember some of the early experiences I had with that. I remember we were living on Venice Beach at the time. This is like 1970s. I used to go out on the beach early in the morning, and I had a couple boomerangs that I got when I was visiting Australia. And I'd go out and I'd throw them, and the object was to have it to come back and I would catch it. So I threw this nice boomerang out there, and it landed in the sand, and I couldn't find it. I looked and looked, I couldn't find it. So I sat down on the sand and I meditated for about 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden I got up and walked to where it was and picked it up. I didn't think about it. I just found it. My body found it. See, and that's the thing, is your body has language all its own. You have to get in touch with that. It's not about thinking. It's about letting your body exhibit its own knowledge to you. Your body has a lot of knowledge. I mean, look how long you've been alive. It's all stored in your body. Tap into that.
This is really powerful stuff. And something that I've been learning a lot is like the difference between masculine and feminine. The masculine being what you were just attesting to, like do, and the feminine being like be, allow, right? And receive and shut down your mind and do nothing, so to speak.
Uh-huh. Well, that's a good analogy. Sure.
Yeah. Are you big on like manifestations?
Well, things things get manifested when you have an empty mind and you visualize them, and you do that enough, they start happening for you. It's part of conscious thing you do, and then it's sort of unconscious things reacting, that are beyond your understanding.
Yeah.
That's another thing, is don't try to understand everything. You never will. Let things happen. Let things occur.
Allow.
You don't have to figure everything out. Let things occur. That's what it's all about.
That's it. And most of life is shaped by our mind. Would you agree?
Yeah, the saying, our lives are shaped by our minds, we become what we think, I think is a very good Buddhist saying.
Yeah.
It's what you occupy yourself with your thoughts that become real for you. That's how you manifest. It's what you think about all the time. That becomes true for you.
Yeah. This is awesome. And a quote that I really love is that you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are, right? So like whatever feedback or whatever results you're getting is basically a mirror of what you're a vibrational match for.
Right.
Yeah.
But in that sense, you can get what you want too.
Yep.
If you realize that's what's happening.
Yeah. Because then you can operate on a higher frequency and you could be a vibrational match for the good stuff.
Right.
Yeah. This
You
is
got
deep
it.
stuff. This is deep stuff, but I think it's the difference that makes a difference.
Sure does.
Yeah. With all the cool stuff that you've done and obviously stuff that you got going on now today, what are you most excited about?
Right now, dinner.
Dinner?
Tomorrow, getting up in the morning.
Understood.
Simple things.
Yeah.
Whatever I have planned. Later on today, going for a walk with my wife and my dog at one of the lakes. We have our neighbor's dog with us now, so we'll take them both for a walk at Lake Murray. Real nice lake a couple miles from here.
I love it. What's for dinner?
Oh, probably fish. Yeah. We eat a lot of fish. Not so much hardly any red meat anymore. It's usually fish, probably 4 meals of fish a week, 3 of chicken. vegetables like maybe steamed broccoli with that. Nothing fancy, nothing elaborate.
Understood. You already worked out today or not yet?
No, I'll probably do something a little later.
What
No,
do
I
you,
don't really train with weights every day,
uh-huh.
but I'd say 3 or 4 times a week.
What do you think you'll work out today?
I don't know. I tend to do everything. You know,
Understood. Yeah.
I probably won't do any leg work, but I'll do upper body.
Understood. This was genuinely an awesome conversation. You're such a legend. I'm such a fan, and it's cool for me. Like when I get to speak to the people that I grew up being such a fan of, and you're as real as I could have imagined. And I really appreciate the conversation. I know the audience is going to fall in love with the episode in 2 seconds. We're growing rapidly. What's the best way for the audience and the community, a couple million now, to support you, Frank?
Go to my website, frankzane.com. I have a note here. What does it say? Oh, up until August 17th, there's a 50% discount on my ebook, Muscle Past Midlife. It's a real good book, an ebook, basically very easy to acquire those. 50% discount on that. And Muscle Past Midlife is basically bodybuilding as you get older. But it applies to everybody, people in their 20s, but especially people that are over 40.
Yeah.
But what's true for people over 40 is equally true for people who are younger.
So true. So we'll drop the episode before then so everybody could take advantage of that. I don't know if it's the same answer or different, but how can I personally support you?
Well, this is supporting me right now. The coupon code for if you go to the August 17th, before August 17th, is CLS.
Yes.
CLS is the coupon code. If you do that, you'll get 50% off on Muscle Past Midlife, which is a real good deal because that's a very good publication.
I love it. Yeah, that's terrific. This was awesome. I genuinely had so much fun. Frank, I want you to know you're the definition of perspective, discipline, and growth. From taking your life experience to spreading positivity, light, and deep truths. You're a true gladiator, visionary, role model, and beacon of hope for anybody coming up today with big goals and aspirations. I could personally guarantee your best is yet to come. Keep on spreading your wings and leaving your mark on this world. So much love and respect for you. Thank you so much for stopping by and dropping these priceless nuggets today, Frank.
My pleasure, and I encourage everybody to stay positive.